Welcome to Performance Programs and Evaluations for Classified Staff. Several of our human resource team members will be sharing information about performance programs and evaluations during this presentation. This table of contents shares all of the topics that we'll be covering. Feel free to watch the entire presentation, or you can skip to the slide for the content that you want to know more about. Our objective today is to understand the purpose and process in developing performance programs and performance evaluations. Performance programs and evaluations are critical because they set clear expectations, and people are more confident when they understand what is expected of them, therefore increasing morale. Performance programs and evaluations also establish clear standards and provide observation and feedback opportunities. They also promote employee development and increase communication between the supervisor and the employee.
Article 40 of the CSEA Operational Services Unit and Administrative Services Unit contracts state that an employee shall have a performance evaluation done annually, typically by a supervisor. Supervisors are generally the person most familiar with the employee's work. Supervisors are usually the person the employee officially reports to in the organizational hierarchy, but if not, the supervisor can also be the person who has the most knowledge of the employee's work. Supervisors are those who are in the best position to evaluate the employee's performance, assign and review the employee's work, and also has the responsibility of developing a performance program for the employee, conducting an evaluation meeting, and recommending a rating. Performance programs are generally for a 12-month period of time in the future. Performance evaluations are generally for the 12-month period of time just concluded. Technology in the MyUAlbany portal lets managers know what employees are due for performance programs or evaluations and what employees are past due. This is a helpful tool that allows supervisors to keep an evaluation due date chart and serves as a reminder of when evaluations are coming due. Under the PEF Contracts Memorandum of Understanding on page 151, an employee shall be provided with a written performance program at the beginning of his or her evaluation period. The performance evaluation shall occur at the end of the evaluation period, shall be based on the employee's performance program, and shall include both a narrative discussion of the employee's performance and a summary rating. As part of this process, the supervisor meets formally with the employee within 1 month before or after the midpoint of the 1-year rating period to discuss the employee's performance to date, their progress in meeting performance standards, accomplishments or concerns, and developmental activities such as training. The performance program is reviewed and revised if necessary. The 6-month recertification is not required for 10-month employees but is required for all other employees. The performance evaluation process. Step 1. Create the performance program and developmental activities. Step 2. Observe and assess the employee's performance. Step 3. Provide ongoing feedback and dialogue on the employee's performance. Step 4. Adjust the performance program and develop activities as needed. Step 5. Conduct an annual performance appraisal and rating and update developmental activities as needed. With input from the employee, supervisors should create the performance program by listing the most important tasks of each employee's job. These steps are vital for informing the employee of the supervisor's expectations and assist the employee in maintaining the level of performance expected. Through this process, the supervisor and employee can determine where the employee may not be meeting expectations and make appropriate adjustments. On the other hand, if the employee is meeting expectations, the performance program can be used and adjusted to encourage further progress and development of the employee's professional growth.
A performance program is the document that the employee receives at the start of their performance program period. The annual performance program is important because it provides the employee with a list of their primary job duties and also summarizes the supervisor's expectations of what constitutes satisfactory performance. The program is a summary of the top 5 to 7 important tasks or job duties and standards or supervisor expectations by which the employee will be rated during the program period. Employees need to be aware of their primary job duties, as well as the supervisor's expectations in meeting satisfactory performance levels for each primary task. The performance program provides this information to the employee in a clear and concise format and increases communication between the employee and the supervisor, which helps to identify and resolve any areas of concern or clarification. Tasks are short descriptors of important key job duties. Standards are a summary of the supervisor's expectations necessary to complete each task satisfactorily. Some helpful sources for creating the key tasks and standards include job descriptions. This is a list of all duties to be performed by the employee. Upcoming projects that may require additional duties during the program period. Previous discussions with the employee or higher level supervisors. This could include areas for improvement from earlier performance programs. And observation of the work the employee currently performs. This could also include areas for improvement from earlier performance programs. When creating key tasks and standards, you want to ask yourself, what are the desired results or end products? What constitutes satisfactory performance levels? Is it the number of errors? Perhaps the duties must be completed within a specific time frame? Or are there specific policies, rules, or regulations that must be followed? SMART goals must be specific, clear, and complete. They must be measurable, so that you can determine what constitutes satisfactory performance. They must be attainable. Are the duties realistic? Can they be completed within the allotted time frame? They must be relevant. Do the duties fall within the classification of the employee's job title? And time sensitive. What is the time frame in completing the duties that would meet the performance level of satisfactory? Standards are descriptive sentences that explain in detail what constitutes satisfactory performance levels for each individual key task or job duty. When preparing these standards, you want to use action words. You also want to avoid personal traits and attitudes, keeping the descriptive summary to the specific job duties of the position. Avoid ambiguous words that may be misinterpreted to ensure the employee and supervisor have a common understanding of what constitutes satisfactory work performance. You should ask yourself, what are the desired results from achieving this task? What is important about how the task is completed? And what would indicate that the task is being completed properly? Here are 3 examples of not-so-smart standards. How could we turn these not-so-smart standards into smart standards? In a timely manner, perhaps within 2 business days of receipt. Or, as another example, opens the office promptly at 8 a.m. Instead of showing initiative, perhaps volunteers for tasks before they are assigned. With good customer service, conducts all interactions with the customer in a friendly, helpful, professional manner, or provides accurate information. Here is an example of a SMART task, key job duty, and standard, supervisor expectation, for a position in the CSEA Operational Services Unit. These positions are typically located in our Facilities Management Department. The key job duty and the supervisor expectations of what constitutes satisfactory performance are clearly identified. Here is an example of a SMART task, key job duty, and standard, supervisor expectation, for a position in the CSEA Administrative Services Unit. These clerical, administrative, secretarial, and paraprofessional positions are located in many departments across the university campuses. The key job duty and the supervisor expectations of what constitutes satisfactory performance are clearly identified.
As a supervisor, it's a good idea to keep notes of each employee's performance. These notes are commonly referred to as a desk file, where supervisors can record each employee's accomplishments, continuing education and training, positive and negative feedback information from customers, volunteering for overtime or other university service, and counseling sessions. There are 3 types of feedback: informational, such as simply sharing information with employees on the progress or status of work; positive, such as praising employees for things they are doing well; and corrective, which involves identifying problems or issues with the employee's performance, exploring those issues, and then clarifying your expectations for future performance. When providing feedback, it's important to make sure that you're focusing on what actions occurred rather than why they occurred. With behavior-based feedback, supervisors should note the behavior you observed and be specific. For example, you came in late at 10 a.m. on Monday, or this afternoon you were rude to a customer. The supervisor should also discuss the impact of the behavior on the work or the department. For example, when you're late, others have to pick up your slack. Or, your rude and unprofessional outbursts startled and upset the other customers in line. In order to provide feedback, you must inspect the employee's performance. Supervisors should observe their employees while the employees are actually involved in their work tasks to really know what they are doing correctly and where they need some guidance. Your employees will appreciate it if your feedback is based on your observations and you project an attitude that you want to help them be successful. Some advice for providing feedback: provide the feedback in private. Don't do it in front of other employees. Focus on the actions and not the motives. You should base your feedback on observable behavior and events. Avoid commenting on the employee's motives or intent because you cannot be sure what those reasons were. Avoid comparing the performance of different employees. For example, Mary Jo is much faster than you. Try to avoid absolute language, such as always or never, as it is open to dispute. For example, you are always late. The employee is probably not always late. A better way to frame your concern is, last week you were late to work on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Be timely as well. You should provide feedback as soon as possible after the behavior occurs in order to help break any bad habits. And let the employee explain their perspective. For example, if a tardy employee says something to the effect of, "But the traffic is so bad in the morning," it's a good idea to remind them of their start time and suggest that they should leave home earlier in the morning. State your expectations clearly, and let them know what behavior is expected in the future. Record your conversation in your supervisory notes. Sometimes it's necessary to summarize your concerns in a counseling memo. You should record any positive things such as customer letters, performance above and beyond, or getting something accomplished before the deadline. Be sure your desk file has a balanced record of the employee's effort over the review period and that you are providing positive as well as constructive feedback. Counseling generally follows feedback and coaching and is a non-disciplinary action. While feedback, coaching, and problem solving will generally help improve performance, sometimes it is necessary to let the employee know that you are concerned about performance issues. You should assess the entire situation before you counsel an employee. Remember to ask yourself, is there a pattern of behavior developing that adversely affects performance despite your best efforts at providing feedback? Interim evaluations are provided around the midpoint of the evaluative period. Around the 6-month mark, the supervisor meets with the employee and informs them of how their performance has compared with expectations. The supervisor should articulate the employee's strengths and if there are any improvement opportunities. In this regard, The supervisor should propose suggestions on how the employee can improve before the final evaluation. The supervisor should also discuss if there are any development needs that could be met by training or other activities to improve performance. The supervisor should either reaffirm the original performance evaluation at this time or revise it if necessary. Depending on the bargaining unit, interim evaluations may be optional or mandatory. Under the CSEA contract, the 6-month evaluation is optional. Although it is optional, the best practice is to provide employees with feedback a minimum of every 6 months. In Section 3 of the CSEA Performance Evaluation Form, supervisors should indicate how they would rate the employee if the final evaluation were to be provided at that time. Individuals assigned to the CSEA Operational Services Unit should have the interim evaluation reviewed by 2 levels of supervision. For PEF members, the interim evaluation is mandatory. Section 4 of the PEF Performance Evaluation Form should be completed at the approximate midpoint of the employee's annual rating period. At this point, the supervisor may choose to revise the performance program. Any revision to a PEF member's performance program requires approval of the supervisor. Supervisors should provide a signed copy to the employee, retain a copy for your desk file, and send the original to the Office of Human Resources Management.
There are several times when a performance program should be adjusted. If there are changes to an existing annual performance program, the original dates of the program should not be changed, just the content of the program itself. For example, supervisory or key job duty changes. When an employee has a new supervisor, the program period dates remain the same, but the program should be updated to reflect the supervisory change. If the department receives any unexpected priority work that the supervisor would like included as a key job duty that would be included in the performance rating of the employee, the program period dates should remain the same, but the program should be updated to reflect these additional key job duties. The only time the program period dates are changed is when an employee receives a new job title, either via promotion or transfer. Only changes in job title constitute a new annual performance program period.
As previously mentioned, a desk file can help supervisors prepare for the annual performance evaluation by noting the employee's accomplishments, continuing education and training, participation in professional organizations, conference attendance, committee work, volunteer activities, counseling sessions, and notices of discipline. Both CSEA and PEF's contracts mention an appraisal discussion prior to the supervisor putting the performance appraisal in final form for the reviewer. This appraisal discussion should happen between 2 weeks and 1 month prior to the end of the review period. This meeting is intended to be a constructive exchange relative to the employee's past performance, improvement opportunities, and future expectations. It offers a chance for the supervisor and the employee to discuss their observations about the employee's performance and clarify any difference in perception before the supervisor records the formal, written performance appraisal. Employees have the right to appeal an unsatisfactory performance evaluation rating. For CSEA members, this appeals process is governed by Article 40 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement. The first step in the process consists of a review of the evaluation at the college level. Employees have 15 calendar days from receipt of their evaluation to request an appeal. Once the employee's request for an appeal is received, Human Resources appoints a committee to investigate the appeal. Upon completion of the investigation, the committee writes a report of their findings to the Director of Human Resources for a determination. The employee has 15 calendar days from receipt of the determination to appeal to a statewide committee who will conduct a hearing. The statewide committee's decision is final. PEF also has a similar process outlined in a Memorandum of Understanding entitled Performance Evaluation and Performance Advances, which is located on page 151 of the PEF Collective Bargaining Agreement. It's important to note that an unsatisfactory performance rating can negatively impact an employee's performance advance. This also has the effect of delaying the job rate process for the employee by 1 additional year. For CSEA members, an unsatisfactory performance rating can delay an employee's longevity payment. PEF members face the same consequence of an unsatisfactory rating, however, such payments are known as performance awards.
The process to appeal a CSEA or PEF unsatisfactory annual performance rating are similar. CSEA and PEF employees have the right to appeal an unsatisfactory annual performance rating. Appeals must be received in Human Resources no later than 15 days from receipt of the annual evaluation. Once received, Human Resources appoints an agency-level appeals board to review the appeal. Upon completion, the agency-level appeals board provides their findings to the Associate Vice President for Human Resources. As the President's designee for agency-level CSEA and PEF appeals, the Associate Vice President for Human Resources makes the final determination. The employee can appeal the agency-level determination, which is then elevated to the state level. The state-level determination is final. The CSEA performance program and subsequent 6-month and 12-month evaluations are completed using the same form. At the start of the annual program, the supervisor completes Sections 1 and 2A. Section 3 is the 6-month recertification, or 6-month review. This step is not required for CSEA employees, but is required for PEF employees. While this step is not required for CSEA, it is strongly recommended. It's important for employees to receive feedback at many stages of the program period, including the 6-month midway mark. Since the 6-month review is not an official rating, it cannot be appealed by the employee. At the time of the 1-year evaluation, Sections 2B, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are completed. The supervisor completes Section 2B, summarizing performance related to the key tasks and standards. Section 4, supervisor comments, summarizing other aspects of the employee's performance, skills, behaviors, personal characteristics, and time and attendance patterns which have affected the employee's performance or the performance of other employees, and suggest ways in which performance can be improved. Section 5, the final rating, either satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Please refer to the form for a complete description. Section 6, review and approval. This is completed by the supervisor's supervisor, manager, or department head prior to meeting with the employee. Section 7, employee comments. After the employee is notified of the rating, the employee has an opportunity to comment on the content of the evaluation.
Please note that the information on this slide applies only to PEF employees. If you do not supervise any PEF-represented employees, please go to the next slide. If you are unsure as to whether you supervise any PEF-represented employees, please review this slide, then inquire with HR about the bargaining unit status of your subordinates. A link to the PEF Performance Program and Evaluation Form will be provided later on in the presentation. Alternatively, the form can be found on the Human Resources page of the UAlbany website. Simply click Forms on the right-hand side. Under Performance Programs and Evaluations, you will see the PEF form labeled as Classified Performance Evaluation /Program PS&T Unit. In the PEF process, managers are expected to discuss prospective performance requirements with the employee and seek the employee's input to the performance program by providing them with a worksheet and a reasonable deadline for its return to you. This worksheet can be found on page 3 of the PEF evaluation PDF. The PEF process also requires that the manager and employees sit down at the 6-month mark to discuss the performance program and evaluation to date. Managers should advise the employee of the rating you would propose if one were due at this time. More importantly, managers should advise the employee of what must be done if the rating would be below satisfactory. On page 1, section 4 of the PEF evaluation sheet, managers can mark what the proposed rating would be if given at this point. Both the manager and employee should sign and date section 4. Near the end of the evaluation period, managers can ask the employee to complete Part 2, Employee Worksheet for Performance Appraisal and Rating, found on page 4 of the PDF. Completion of the worksheet by the employee is optional. The manager then completes sections 1, 2, and 3 of Part 2 of the evaluation, which are found on pages 6 and 7 of the PDF. The manager then submits the evaluation to the reviewer for approval. The rating only becomes final once the reviewer has approved it. Managers may then complete section 4 of the evaluation of page 7 of the PDF, marking whether the rating is satisfactory or unsatisfactory, followed by the signatures of both the reviewer and supervisor. Lastly, the manager needs to conduct an evaluation review with the employee. The employee may wish to submit written comments responding to the evaluation. After the evaluation review, the manager should complete section 5 and have the employee sign. Any written comments from the employee should also be attached to the completed evaluation.
If you find that one of your employees is past due for an annual performance program, please contact Human Resources for guidance on next steps. Any non-temporary appointment, including original appointments, promotions, reinstatements, or transfers, require satisfactory completion of a probationary period. The lengths of these probations vary and follow civil service law. While all classified service employees must have an annual performance program in place, including probationary employees, not all employees are in active probationary status. Human Resources works closely with civil service in determining which employees have a probationary period. As part of the search process, Human Resources works closely with hiring departments in providing up-to-date information regarding probationer employee status. Any questions regarding probationary periods can be referred to Human Resources.
Performance program and evaluation forms can be found on the Human Resources page of the UAlbany website. You can access these by clicking on the Forms link located on the right-hand side of the page. Alternatively, you can also click on Manager Toolbox on the left-hand side of the screen, then click on Performance Management. Similarly, if you need a refresher, general information on performance programs and evaluations is located on the Human Resources page. Just go to the Manager's Toolbox and click Evaluation, Counseling, and Discipline. You can also find additional information by clicking on Performance Management. Finally, you can access the status of your employees' performance programs by logging on to MyUAlbany and clicking on the Supervisor tab.
Please reach out to our Human Resources team to find out more information or to answer any additional questions or concerns. Thank you for joining us for this presentation. We hope that it has helped to answer any questions you may have about performance programs and evaluations. Have a good day.